Later, President Biden is sending more troops to Europe amid conflict in Ukraine. Newswatch starts right now.
And I'm Nick Veland. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. As inclement weather comes to our area, WOUB lead forecaster Aaron Ashley tells us more about what's to come.
Thank you, Nick. And as Nick was saying, we are in for quite the storm heading into tomorrow morning, through tomorrow night, and even a little bit on Friday. And so right here, I pulled up the map. We have winter storm warnings across the entire state of Ohio, but that's going to include our area down here in Athens County, Meigs County, Vinton County. Everywhere in Ohio, you're going to see that winter storm warning. And then if you look at down here in West Virginia, you can see that the majority of northwest, as well as western West Virginia is going to see that winter storm warning and watch as well. And so looking at across the region right now, you're going to see temperatures in the low 40s, 44 degrees in Athens, and 46 degrees in Jackson. 50 degrees down in Ironton, 49 degrees in Ripley. It's going to be a little cooler to our northeast. Cambridge, 42 degrees in New Martinsville. It could be even cooler to our northwest too. 41 degrees in Columbus, 40 degrees in Newark. And then something I want to emphasize as we head into the late hours tonight and into the morning as well, what we can expect for the week ahead is that wintry mix is going to bring some common power outages up to ½ an inch of ice. And that, my friends, is going to be the cause for some inclement weather. And so we are looking at in Stark County, where News 5's Bob Jones spent the day in Stark County.
On a sunny Tuesday, it certainly was the calm before the storm in Greene, where crews spent the day clearing away last week's snow from neighborhood catch basins. The fear is if those remain blocked, heavy rain and melting snow could cause bad flooding.
So we don't get any ice buildup in the roads. We're trying to get it into the basins. Hopefully it'll make it before everything starts freezing by getting the snow out of the way.
Dave Perrin, supervisor of the Stormwater Division, says in addition to shoveling snow out of catch basins, crews are also clearing mounds of it from curbs to make room for more snow.
We're having to put them in the cul-de-sacs up along the sides, of the roads. And that's the only place we can put it. There's nowhere to haul it to.
In Canton, plow drivers are gearing up for what could be the worst part of the upcoming wintry mix, ice.
Most of the models we've seen have been anywhere from 1/8 of an inch to upwards to 3/4 to an inch. So that is difficult to prepare for.
Steve Trzynski, Canton's superintendent of public works, says that can turn roads, which are now clear, into a sliding, treacherous mess.
People can navigate on roads that are hard packed because they still have traction. But with the ice, it's hard to get traction. We're going to try to utilize the rain coming in and try to determine when the temperature starts to fall, to start pre-treating with just rock salt, in hopes that the rock salt, the traffic, and the water will then create the brine that we're going to need.
There's also a concern that heavy ice could weigh down power lines and cause widespread power outages. Stark County EMA is preparing to open warming centers and provide overnight stays if residents lose juice. Trzynski says his crews may also help police and fire block roads if lines come down.
We prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
And as they prepare, crews are asking for patience as they work to make the roads safe from a possible Mother Nature triple dose: rain, ice, and snow.
Stay safe and give us time. Give us time. We just need time, and hopefully after 24 hours after the last snowflake, we'll have this all cleaned up and everything will be back to normal.
Ohioans are preparing for Winter Storm Landon. Meteorologists are predicting power outages and fallen tree limbs from the weight of ice and snow on the power lines, as well as dangerous travel conditions. In Southeast Ohio, predictions of 1/4 to ½ an inch of ice are expected to cover the roads. There are many ways you can prepare for this storm. First, it's important to make sure you have essential items in your home before the storm begins in the middle of the night. In case the power goes out due to heavy ice on the power lines, check your flashlight's batteries and gather dry goods. You can also retain heat in specific rooms by closing doors to rooms you may not use as much. If you do need to travel, this kit can be a multi-use kit that includes food, water, and flashlights in case travel becomes impossible. Additionally, if you do need to travel, pack a kit for your car that includes the same items as well as jumper cables, and a first aid kit. And stick around for my full forecast with more details about this storm. Back to you, Lexi.
Thank you, Erin. Ohio parties are preparing for the primaries ahead of today's filing deadline. Conservative former state representative Ron Hood is running for governor with former Representative Candace Keller as his running mate. Both these candidates back the expansion of gun rights and oppose abortions. Congressman Jim Renacci and Ohio farmer Joe Blystone run on another team. These two are known for being critics of COVID action and policies of incumbent candidate Mike DeWine. With all these candidates in the race, they may end up splitting the anti-DeWine votes in the primary. The Democratic Party is also gearing up for the primaries. Ohio Governor candidate Nan Whaley is calling on the party to refrain from making an endorsement in the primary race. Whaley says she wants the party to be unified this fall. The race is between Whaley and former Cincinnati Mayor John Cranley. This announcement comes after some of the state's well-known Democrats suggested the party leaders remain neutral in the primary. Democrats have been shut out of the Ohio's governor office since 2010. The Ohio Democratic Party Executive Committee were set to meet Tuesday to decide whether to recommend anyone before a full vote later this month.
Larry Householder asked judge to dismiss a conspiracy charge against him. The former Republican legislative leader was accused of helping orchestrate a $60 million bribery scheme. Householder was charged 18 months ago for overseeing the funneling of energy company money into an effort to bail out 2 nuclear power plants. Last night, Householder's attorneys filed court motions asking that the indictment be dismissed. They say prosecutors haven't provided the essential facts needed for criminal charges. It is expected that the U.S. Attorney's Office will oppose this request. Car prices continue to rise as 2022 begins, and Joe Burrow's success in the playoffs is causing success for local businesses as well. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
The tournament is just around the corner and the window of opportunity to win the TVC is closing quickly. It's championship week for the girls as the Vinton County Vikings battle Alexander for the top spot in the TVC Ohio. And in the Hawking, we saw 2 state-ranked teams battle it out for first place. Plus, things are getting rowdy beyond the court as we take an inside look at the Meg student section. Catch all the action on Hardwood Heroes Sunday nights at 11 and Monday nights at 6, only on WOUB.
On American Experience.
Jeans are the quintessential American garment. They are universal and individual at the same time. But it's always the same story.
It's about the cowboys in the West. It's about Levi Strauss and the gold rush.
And yet so much of the story we tell about jeans is a myth.
Riveted, the history of jeans on American Experience.
Spend a year with activist Greta Thunberg.
I don't want you to listen to me. I want you to listen to the science.
On her journey to combat climate change.
We cannot look away from this crisis anymore.
From the front lines of environmental science.
We know we're not bringing this glacier back.
To speaking truth to power.
You haven't seen anything yet.
This is Greta Thunberg, a year to change the world.
American Masters celebrates the life and legacy of singer Marian Anderson. Her career was propelled by talent, but limited by discrimination.
She didn't have to say, no, this is not right. Her voice said that.
See how her voice changed the world. Discover Marian Anderson on American Masters.
The Bengals are headed to Super Bowl 56 in less than 2 weeks, and the team's postseason success is also being success to local bars and restaurants. From the AFC Championship game to the Super Bowl, local bars will bring in more sales than a bar would normally see on a given Sunday. At Poppers, NFL football brings in decent crowds, but this Sunday things were a lot busier.
I usually worked alone because we just didn't, we didn't need more than one bartender. And then, this Sunday I came in and the front bar was completely packed. Still with Bengals fans. Everybody had a Joe Burrow or Jamar Chase jersey on. Everyone was in a bright mood. And then, it just got even bigger. By 10 o'clock, we were packed.
And at Lucky Sports Tavern, those crowds made a big difference in sales.
We only account for Friday and Saturday, but throwing in another weekend day, that changes everything. I mean, if you're doing another $1,000 on a day that you maybe make 500, that's a big difference.
And coming out of the pandemic, these big sporting events are a driving force to bring these bars and restaurants back to where they were.
Sports taverns like us, we need sports to carry on and do well in business, and COVID kind of died that down, but we had the Bobcats last year going into March Madness, Bengals this year, it's just been overwhelmed with how much success our sports teams have had.
Few people normally go out for the Super Bowl, but after this past weekend, a full staff bar is needed in order to serve the masses. For Newswatch, I'm Nick Veland. Bars and restaurants are hoping to keep the sales up through the upcoming week by having specials related to the game.
Prices for new and used cars are hitting historic highs this year, and experts predict those prices could stick around for much of 2022. More on what's driving up the cost and when buyers could catch a break.
A shortage of parts, limited production, and surging demand for both new and used cars. It's all driving consumers to pay record sky-high prices for those few cars that dealerships have available.
Driving that is some of the shift toward trucks and SUVs and higher contented vehicles. But at the same time, because of this lack of inventory, dealers are not required to discount at all.
According to J.D. Power, the average transaction price for a new car was over $45,000 last December. That's up 29% from 2019. And according to Edmunds, prices for used cars ended the year with an average price of nearly $30,000. That's up 29% from a year earlier.
If you were trying to find a reasonably priced used car, because the car you have is just conked down, it's going to be much difficult.
So when can buyers catch a break? Experts say availability could start to increase as production starts to come back online and the supply of car parts improves.
It's not just microchips that we're seeing shortages of. We're seeing resin used in paint, we're seeing tire shortages, and even wiring harnesses, and on and on.
J.D. Power forecasts the average wholesale price of used cars could fall about 9% from the fourth quarter of 2021 to the fourth quarter of this year. But that won't get prices to where they were before the pandemic.
In 2023, we'll expect prices to start to come down, but I don't expect to see a return to the old days.
For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
J.D. Power says that consumers are looking at more expensive luxury cars, trucks, SUVs, and electric vehicles. This is a big shift from previous tendencies of consumers and could be a factor in the price spike. Joe Biden is continuing an initiative to end cancer that started during his vice presidency. That story still ahead.
I'll talk about what to expect this winter storm and when to expect it in my full forecast, but for now, take a look at stocks of local interest.
On American Experience.
Jeans are the quintessential American garment. They are universal and individual at the same time. But it's always the same story.
It's about the cowboys in the West. It's about Levi Strauss and the gold rush.
And yet so much of the story we tell about jeans is a myth.
Riveted, the history of jeans on American Experience.
To white Americans or black Americans, what everybody wants is an equal chance to have a piece of the action.
Homeownership to me, it means freedom.
It is the backbone of America.
For Black Americans, it doesn't work that way.
I didn't really understand how segregated the city was.
It's also now trapped poor white people. Those struggles are shared struggles. The last generation standing's the one that's going to have to pick up the bill.
Owned, A Tale of Two Americas. Monday, February 7th on Independent Lens.
American Masters celebrates the life and legacy of singer Marian Anderson. Her career was propelled by talent, but limited by discrimination.
She didn't have to say, no, this is not right. Her voice said that.
See how her voice changed the world. Discover Marian Anderson on American Masters.
Spend a year with activist Greta Thunberg
I don't want you to listen to me. I want you to listen to the science.
on her journey to combat climate change.
We cannot look away from this crisis anymore.
From the front lines of environmental science
We know we're not bringing this glacier back.
to speaking truth to power.
You haven't seen anything yet.
This is Greta Thunberg, a year to change the world.
To Newswatch, let's take a look at the skies above. You can see right here, the entirety of the United States is just covered in clouds. And that, my friends, is going to push up into our region. It's going to be the cause, and this is the cause, of a winter storm, which has been dipping down from the Alberta system up in Canada. But looking at what we can expect from this system, Thursday in the morning, expect to see that risk for freezing rain appear. And from that risk is going to head into Thursday, as we head into Thursday, it's going to be changing into a sleet and snow mix. And then by Friday morning, if it's still persisting, it will be in this form of snow. That is because temperatures have finally gotten below freezing. And freezing rain is created when there is enough warm air, between where the rain starts and when it hits the ground. But the ground temperature will cause that to freeze on the ground. Sleet will just be a little bit more frozen than that, and then snow is snow, and that'll be the cause of some chaos and some hazardous conditions starting tomorrow morning. 8 a.m. it's going to, or 8 p.m. tonight, take a backtrack. It's going to be 40 degrees. Rain's going to persist as we head into the night. It's going to be 39 degrees. Little temperature change, believe it or not, but again, strong winds as we head into tonight with a low of 35 degrees. But temperatures are going to keep dropping. This low right here is going to keep dropping as we head into tomorrow. And believe it or not, this temperature right here is going to be very similar to the high temperature that we see tomorrow in many of our regions. But across the region tonight, expect to see temperatures barely reaching freezing in here in New Lexington, Cambridge, and New Martinsville. Going to be a little bit colder over here in Columbus, but overall, we're not going to see those colder temperatures until tomorrow, and we're not going to see that freezing rain until tomorrow as well. That freezing rain is going to be brought by this cold front right here, which has made its way across the United States, and this blue region right here is going to be the indicator of some freezing rain, some sleet, and eventually some snow. And so again, I really want to emphasize to you that any county in Ohio that you see here in the pink is going to have a winter storm warning, and any county that you see over here in the purple is going to have a winter weather advisory. Every county that you see in pink and purple is going to see the very similar hazards that I explained to you previously. You're going to see power outages, and you're going to see the risk of tree limbs, and overall, you might see some flash freezes because of those lowering temperatures. But starting at 8 a.m., it's going to be 30 degrees, just below freezing. It's going to get gradually even colder, believe it or not, as we head to noon. Overall, very slippery, very ugly conditions. Across the region tomorrow at 3 p.m., when we expect some wintry mix to be in the majority of our area, temperatures are going to be just around freezing, except for down here in Ripley and Ironton. You guys are going to see some rain. You're going to see a lot of ice accumulation down here in the middle of the region. 33 degrees in Athens, 33 degrees in Jackson, and 28 degrees over here in New Lexington. Because we are so close to freezing, those conditions and those freezing rain and the sleet, that's all going to fall down, it's going to melt, and it's going to refreeze. And that, my friends, is going to be the cause for some slippery conditions. Another thing I do want to stress to everyone is that it's going to feel a lot colder than it actually is, and that's because we have some strong winds coming in from the south and the north as well as that comes together. 26 degrees. It's going to feel like 26 degrees in Athens. And it's going to feel even colder to our northwest, 15 degrees in Columbus, 18 degrees in Newark and New Lexington. Overall, it's going to be a very chilly day. Some expected hazards for tomorrow. Again, flash freezes. As the temperature drops below freezing, you're going to see that rain hit the ground. It's going to freeze very quickly, and you're not going to expect it, excuse me. And so tree limbs and power outages are going to be caused due to ice accumulation across the power lines as well. And so as we head into tomorrow, be sure you plan accordingly. Stay off the roads if you can, as temperatures are going to be below freezing overnight. And on Friday, temperatures are still going to be below freezing. So expect to see ugly conditions throughout the weekend.
President Biden today is relaunching a campaign he began while he was vice president. Cancer Moonshot Initiative was headed by Biden during the Obama presidency and now has taken center stage in Biden's presidency. Cancer Moonshot looks to urge Americans to get cancer screenings, provide more equitable access to care, and improving the lives of patients during and after treatment. The term moonshot is described as a monumental effort or great leap. President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden embraced the initiative after the death of their son Beau Biden in 2015. Biden said that Cancer Moonshot will take priority in his presidency.
Basketball is in for another action-packed week. The women's team is looking to get a MAC victory tonight back at the Convo after a disappointing loss this past weekend. And the men's team is on a winning streak, looking to continue their good fortunes. And be sure to stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
The tournament is just around the corner, and the window of opportunity to win the TVC is closing quickly. It's championship week for the girls as the Vinton County Vikings battle Alexander for the top spot in the TVC Ohio. And in the Hawking, we saw two state-ranked teams battle it out for first place. Plus, things are getting rowdy beyond the court as we take an inside look at the Meg student section. Catch all the action on Hardwood Heroes Sunday nights at 11 and Monday nights at 6, only on WOUB.
Coming up on the next Song of the Mountains. Lively performances where old tradition meets new, here on Song of the Mountains.
On American Experience.
Jeans are the quintessential American garment. They are universal and individual at the same time. But it's always the same story.
It's about the cowboys in the West. It's about Levi Strauss and the gold rush.
And yet so much of the story we tell about jeans is a myth.
Riveted, the history of jeans on American Experience.
Spend a year with activist Greta Thunberg.
I don't want you to listen to me. I want you to listen to the science.
On her journey to combat climate change.
We cannot look away from this crisis anymore.
From the front lines of environmental science.
We know we're not bringing this glacier back.
To speaking truth to power.
You haven't seen anything yet.
This is Greta Thunberg, a year to change the world.
Hello everyone, I'm Darius Sethna. The Ohio men's basketball game tomorrow has a scheduling change. Tip-off between the Bobcats and Eastern Michigan is now set for 2 p.m. because of that winter storm Aaron was talking about earlier. It is still set to be played in the Convo and will be broadcast on ESPN3. The men's team has won 3 consecutive games, including a huge win last night against the Ball State Cardinals. It was the front court that really got it done for Ohio in this one. Ben Vanderplas and Jason Carter each dropped 18 points. Carter also finished with a team-high leading 7 rebounds, while Vanderplas secured 4 steals for the Bobcats in an 87-63 rout. This was Ohio's 17th overall win of the year and their 8th against a MAC opponent. One aspect head coach Jeff Bowles says he's proud of is his squad's tremendous work ethic.
I think our guys have done a really good job of coming with the right mindset, the right focus, every practice, every game, and taking care of business. And, it's awesome, right, for the university, for our program, great national story. But, our goal from day one is to get closer as a team every day and get better as a team every day.
Again, their game tomorrow is set for 2 p.m. against Eastern Michigan at the Convo. The women's team looks to bounce back after a rough weekend. The Bobcats suffered a 74-64 loss on the road Saturday against the Central Michigan Broncos. The offensive firepower from Cece Hooks and Erica Johnson kept Ohio in the game, but the defense could not seem to get stops when it needed to. Western Michigan shot 46% from the field and 43% from downtown. Head coach Bob Bolden and his crew look to get back to their winning ways tonight as they take on Ball State. Tip-off is set for 7 p.m. at the Convo. It's been another fun-filled week of high school basketball with hardwood heroes. Our game recap tonight is from yesterday's clash between the visiting Federal Hawking Lancers and the Waterford Wildcats. The Lancers opened the game with a 14-9 lead at the end of the first quarter thanks to Tariq Cottrell's 6 points, but Waterford stormed back, trailing by only 2 points at the half. Lane Smith of Federal Hawking showed out in the fourth quarter, scoring 10 points and led the Lancers to a 66-57 victory. Head coach Jonathan Thompson says the defense came up big in this huge win.
Some mishaps, mainly in the second quarter, that I noticed. We kind of played that old style where we allowing them to get to the hole, which, they got some ball handlers, they can attack and that kind of thing. We weren't able to stop, but towards the end of the ball game, we picked up our pressure and was able to start chipping away and getting the lead to 5, 7, 10. I think we got it up to 12 or 13 at one point.
The Ohio football team continues to make new additions to its roster. The Bobcats add Mecca Ryder out of McKinney High School in Texas, Rice University transfer August Petray III, Jerry and Shelby from Hahnville High School in Louisiana, and Jordan Jones out of Paul Blazer High School in Kentucky. The team has also signed 2 Ohio natives, Granville High School graduate Cameron Wright and Alexander Karagosian out of Jackson High School. Ohio looks to improve after a disappointing campaign last year, winning just 3 games. I'm Darius Sethna, and that's it for sports. Back over to you, Lexi.
With the Winter Olympics set to begin in Beijing, organizers are putting the 2022 Olympic medals on full display. The medals are named Tonghing, which means together as one. The design of the medals are based on ancient Chinese jade pendants with the Olympic rings in the center. For the winter season, the Olympic rings are surrounded by snowflakes, clouds, and ice. They also follow a design used for the medals from 2008 when Beijing hosted the Summer Olympics. Beijing has made history as the first ever dual host city, hosting both the Winter and Summer Olympics. 3,000 athletes from 91 nations will compete in 15 different events at the Games. The Games officially open with the opening ceremony on Friday. I apologize for the technical difficulties.
And speaking of snowflakes, ice, and clouds, we are in for a winter storm again tomorrow. Starting in the morning, that freezing rain risk starts, and then heading into the tomorrow afternoon, you'll begin to see some sleet and some snow. And then again on Friday, that will persist as snow. Here again, might I remind you, everywhere in the pink, which is going to be the entire state of Ohio, is looking at a winter storm warning, as well as this purple in winter weather advisory. Back to you guys.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Nick Veland.
And I'm Lexi Lepoff. And for Darius Sethna and Aaron Ashley, have a great week.
Support comes from Hocking Valley Bank, offering mortgage loans or refinancing on an existing home, making it easy for dreams to become a reality. Hocking Valley Bank, we know loans.